So, this is R. Ilavarasi. I am working as assistant professor in the department of EEE at Amartya deemed to be University. So, now I am going to discuss about power generation system for onboard ship. So, from the Marine Electrical Technology 1. The power generation system, we can have two types of electrical supply, DC supply and AC supply. So, usually the DC supply will be generated by the DC generator and AC supply will be generated by the AC generator or alternator, which is used in shipboard. But in DC mainly for generation of EMF, three things are mandatory. So, the one is the magnetic field and second one is armature conductor, and there should be a relative motion between the magnetic field and armature conductor, then only EMF will be induced in armature conductor. In DC generator, so the armature conductors are placed as a rotor side. So, mainly in all the machines, electrical machines, there are two main parts, stator and rotor. In DC generator, the stator consists of magnetic poles and the rotor consists of armature conductors. So, EMF is induced in the armature conductor whenever the conductor magnetic field will be created by the magnetic poles. In the magnetic field, armature conductors are placed in DC generator. Whenever the conductor rotates in the magnetic field, the conductor will cut the magnetic lines of force. So, according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, that is E is proportional to d phi by dt, that is whenever there is a rate of change of flux, EMF is induced in the armature conductors. That EMF will be of alternating in nature. Usually, this alternating EMF will be converted to unidirectional EMF with the help of commutator and brushes. But in AC generator, this is the construction of AC generator. The construction is a little bit different from DC generator. Here mainly this stator, it also has two main parts, stator and rotor. The stator houses the armature conductors and the rotor is meant for field poles. Field poles, here projector type poles are shown here. The projector type poles, over the magnetic poles, field windings are wound, and this magnetic poles in the field windings are given with the DC supply for excitation. So, the armature will be placed in the stator side. So, here the armatures are placed as a stationary winding and the rotor is a rotating one. As I said already, there are two parts of this alternator. So, one is the rotor, another one is the stator. So, it consists of that is stator and rotor. Unlike DC generator, this the rotor field exciters are rotating and the armature coil is stationary. Stator, unlike in DC machine, the stator of alternator is not meant to serve for the magnetic flux. Instead, the stator is used for holding the armature. So, as I mentioned already, this stator has armature conductors, rotor has field windings. So, the stator will be of stationary and the rotor will be provided with the DC supply. The important difference in alternator construction is the alternator has stationary armature winding. So, what are the advantages of having stationary armature winding? So, since the armature winding is placed in the stator side, so during high voltage generation and all, so it is very easy to insulate the armature winding. And also if armature windings are placed, if it would have been placed in the inner part, it has to withstand high centrifugal forces. It is also eliminated. So, it is very easy to insulate, and apart from that, so we know very well always the EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. So, if EMF is induced in the armature conductors, here in alternator, the armature conductors are since placed in the stationary outer part, so it is very easy to tap the supply from the stationary armature conductors. So, instead of having armature inside the machine, rotor has a field winding. The field winding gets supply from the DC supply. So, the magnetic field will be produced whenever this magnetic field is of rotating type. During its rotation, this magnetic lines will be cut by the armature conductor. Then according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, EMF is again induced in the armature conductor only. Since it is available in the armature, is available in the outer part, as well as it is called as a stator, it is very easy to tap the supply from the outer winding. And also by having this stationary armature outside, so we can eliminate the use of brushes, commutators. So, and this high centrifugal forces, it is very easy to insulate. These are the advantages of having stationary armature. This alternator has two types of rotor. The first one is the salient pole type, the another type is the smooth cylindrical type. So, whatever we have seen in the construction is the salient pole type. Salient pole type is nothing but a projected pole type. So, mainly this projected pole type is used for low and medium speed alternators, and also its axial length is short axial length and large diameter are available in salient pole type alternator. The another one is the cylindrical type. This cylindrical type is mainly used for all the turbo alternators. It has a long axial length, and there is no need of slip rings, and slip rings brushes are eliminated here. So, the connecting the alternator with the bus bar is called synchronization of alternator. Now, let us discuss about the operation of alternator. So, the operation, all the electrical machines, the rotating machines are having stator and rotor. So, the stator, as we discussed earlier, it has armature conductors which is of stationary, and the rotor has field windings which is provided with the DC supply. Whenever the magnetic lines of force is cut by the armature conductors, then EMF is induced in the armature conductors according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. The Faraday's law says that whenever there is change in magnetic flux lines, that is rate of change of flux is directly proportional to EMF induced. So, according to Faraday's law, EMF is induced in the armature conductors. So, the direction of this induced EMF can be determined with the help of Fleming's right hand rule. So, the Fleming's right hand rule is nothing but whenever we keep the three fingers in our right hand at right angles to each other. So, this thumb indicates the motion of the conductor. So, the first finger indicates the direction of the magnetic field, and the middle finger indicates the direction of the current. So, whenever this S comes up and N is coming down, it will be the current direction will be in one direction. Whenever this N is up and S is down, it will be in the current direction will be of opposite. So, with the help of this, according to Faraday's law, EMF is induced in the armature conductors. So, we can get alternating EMF from the armature conductors. It can be very easily tapped from the stationary stator. So far we discussed about alternator. So, alternator, two types of rotors are available. So, the alternators are the main source of power generation in the shipboard. So, without alternator, so none of the equipment will be working in the shipboard. So, the main power supply in the shipboard depends on alternator. So, the alternator generates the very high voltage. So, usually in the shipboard, this is the layout of the ship electrical system. So, here the generators are available. The generators are able to generate in the high voltage range also. So, the generated supply will be given to the main circuit board, main switchboard. This supply will be of here it is used as 6.6 kV, which is connected with the main switchboard. Then this 6.6 kV is stepped down with the help of the transformers, and it is given to the converter circuit, and again this regulated supply will be given to the propulsion motor, which is driving the propeller. So, this is a ship electrical system. Apart from the alternator, main alternator in the ship system, there will be emergency alternator also available. This emergency alternators are mainly used during the emergency condition only. So, this mainly the ship system, the whole electrical, all the equipment which is in need of electrical supply or depending on the alternator supply. Another type is the brushless alternator. So far we have discussed the usual alternator, which is having a stationary armature, rotor, and the rotor field winding is excited by the DC supply. So, here next one is the brushless alternator. So, as the name implies, it does not have any brushes. So brushes and slip rings are eliminated in brushless alternator, and this usually in alternator the field windings will be excited by the DC supply. So here in brushless alternator, so separate exciter alternator, small alternator will be available inside to excite the main alternator. So the exciter has the unusual arrangement of, usually the exciter alternator that will be having 3-phase winding, 3-phase winding on the rotor, and magnetic poles will be fixed to the casing. The casing pole coils are supplied with direct current from a AVR. So AVR we know very well, this is the automatic voltage regulator which which regulates the voltage which is given to the field winding of any type of alternator. Here also the AVR supplies supply to the field poles. 3-phase current generated in the armature conductors will be given to the rectifier. That rectified DC will be given to the field winding of the main alternator. So this is the main difference between usual alternator and brushless alternator. Brushless alternator mainly it does not have any brushes, and slip rings are eliminated, and it has one more small alternator to excite the main field winding. This is the main difference between usual alternator and brushless alternator. This is the diagram of the brushless alternator. The brushless alternator, this side is the right hand side, we have main alternator. The main alternator rotor is supplied from this exciter, small alternator. So here the stator winding will be connected to the bus bar. So stator winding 3-phase supply will be generated, it will be connected to the bus bar. So with the bus bar AVR is connected. AVR is the automatic voltage regulator which regulates the AC supply, and it is given to the AC supply, and it is converted to DC with the help of IGBT based rectifier. Then it is given to the field poles. So field poles will be excited with the help of AVR output. Then this is the rotor conductors. Rotor conductors will be available. Here it has a 3-phase rotor conductors. So always we know very well this rotor gets supply from the DC supply, and this rotor EMF is induced in the rotor conductors. The induced EMF 3-phase supply will be given to the rotary rectifier. So this rectifier will convert AC into DC, then this DC voltage is given to the field winding of main alternator. So this is the structure of the brushless alternator. So we have main alternator that side and small alternator within it. This small alternator is mainly used for exciter for main alternator. So this is way this brushless alternator is working. So as we discussed earlier, this is the main alternator armature. So this armature, then this is exciter armature. So usually this main armature EMF is induced, that will be given to the AVR. This AVR will be giving supply to the small alternator. This small alternator we have finally the EMF is induced. It has armature and rotor winding. So EMF is induced in the armature winding. That EMF is given to the rectifier. Then finally it is given to the field winding of the main armature. It is placed in between, that is main armature and damper winding. This is the exciter armature. The main parts of brushless alternators are the exciter. The exciter portion houses a main generator, small mini generator that develops the power necessary to develop the magnetic field in the main generator portion. As we discussed earlier, it has this mini alternator also has stator and rotor. EMF is developed in the rotor. That EMF will be rectified and it is given to the field winding of the main alternator. So this excited field is a stationary direct current energized winding. This is the winding where the DC magnetic field is initially developed. So even before any voltage regulation takes place, so when sometimes this residual magnetism also helpful to develop the voltage. So what is the residual magnetism? Residual magnetism in the generator exciter field allows the generator to build up voltage. Residual magnetism is nothing but suppose if the machine is used already, there will be some magnetism. It is a hysteresis property. It is the magnetism retained by the magnetic poles. Due to its residual magnetism, some of the generators initially EMF will be developed. This magnetic field lines will be cut by the armature conductor, then EMF is induced. So this is the use of residual magnetism. So the exciter armature, as we discussed, this exciter armature is the part of the mini alternator. so it has 3 conductors, 3-phase rotating winding. The excited armature is located directly inside a tabular stator. A 3-phase EMF is induced. Usually the EMF will be induced in the armature winding. So if the EMF is induced in the armature winding, then it is given to the rectifier. With the help of the rectifier, this AC is converted to DC, then it is given to the field of the main alternator. This portion is mainly used for giving supply to the field winding. So next one is the rotating rectifier. This is also one important part of the exciter alternator. So here it has the EMF induced will be of AC. So to convert, but this main alternator field winding is in need of DC supply. This rectifier, as we know very well, this rectifier circuit is mainly used for conversion of AC to DC. So this armature output will be given to this rotating rectifier. It converts AC to DC, and this main field must be provided with a direct current source. So this rotating rectifier, via this rotating rectifier only, this main field winding will be getting the DC supply. So it's to convert the exciter output from AC to DC, the rotating rectifier is mainly used. Generators in parallel, that is a parallel operation of generators. So we know very well to meet out the load sharing. Okay, suppose if the load of any ship is very high, it is not able to handle by single generator. So one more generators can be connected in parallel with the running generator. So it is called a parallel operation. Okay, changeover of usually the changeover with the help of circuit breaker. So both the generators can be connected in parallel, and it can be run in parallel to share the load of the ship. This parallel operation or parallel running is achieved in 2 stages by synchronizing and load sharing. So the main purpose of this parallel operation is the load sharing which is available in the ship. Both operations are usually carried out automatically, but manual control also available in the ship. So to check this parallel operation, the generator is already available, already connected to the bus bar is called main running generator. The generator which is brought to be paralleled with the already available generator is called incoming generator. So for a parallel operation of 2 generators, some of the things has to be checked, that is voltage, frequency, and speed of the 2 alternators, these things to be checked. So this diagram explains the parallel operation of generators. Generator 1 is called running generator, which is already connected to the bus bar, and it is called main generator. So the generator 2 is called incoming generator, which is brought to the bus bar, which is connected in parallel with the bus bar. So with the help of the circuit breaker, it can be both the generators can be connected in parallel, and it can be connected to the bus bar. So it is a 3-phase bus bar line. So with the 3-phase bus bar line, these 2 generators are connected in parallel. So and both the generators will be sharing the ship load. So the output will be ship load. The generator will be generating the electrical supply, that both the generators will be running in parallel. So it will be the output of both the generators will be connected to the bus bar. Then the bus bar, from the bus bar they can take the output, which is the requirement for the ship load. To achieve smooth manual synchronizing means that is a parallel operation. So whether the 2 generators are running with the proper same frequency, all those things, that is called synchronizing. The incomer must be brought to the speed of the already running generator. So the first generator, that is the main generator, will be running at one speed. So the incoming generator also has to be run at the same speed. So this condition can be checked with the help of the synchroscope. So usually a ship frequency will be of 60 Hertz. The alternating frequency, this is 60 Hertz. So it has to match with the bus bar frequency. So both the generators will be connected to the bus bar. So if the bus bar frequency is 60 Hertz, both the generator has to run at same speed. So it can be checked with the help of the synchroscope. The incoming generator voltage is set by the AVR. Usually apart from the frequency, the voltage of both the generators also very important. The incoming generator voltage must be equal to the voltage of the already available, that is a running generator. So this voltage of the incoming generator can be checked and regulated with the help of the automatic voltage regulator. So this AVR plays a major role in this synchronization process. The fine tuning of the speed can be observed with the help of the synchronoscope indicator. And with the help of synchronizing lamps also we can understand whether both the generator voltages are equal or mismatched. This mismatch can be regulated with the help of AVR. The incoming generator is adjusted with the help of the AVR so that the synchronoscope indicator rotates slowly clockwise at about 40 seconds, 4 seconds per indicator revolution. The circuit breaker plays a major role in parallel operation. When both the generator voltage, frequency, these things are same, then the circuit breaker will close. So, both the generators will be connected to the bus bar. At a time while both the generators are connected to the, both the generators are working in parallel and these are connected to the bus bar, at that time this synchronoscope will be showing 12 o'clock position. The breaker, so apart from 12 o'clock position, 5 that is 5 past and 5 to the 12 o'clock position also acceptable one. So, 12 o'clock position, 5 to 12 o'clock, then 5 past to 12 o'clock. So, in these things, these three conditions we can set, we can say the generator, both the generators are connected in parallel, both are running with the same frequency. Modern synchronoscope indicators use a circular set of LED lamps that sequentially light up to show the phase difference between the generator voltage. So, apart from the frequency, voltage, the phase difference also very important. Both the generator phase sequence will be of, this is also phase sequence also will be checked with the help of phase sequence meter. So, this is the synchronizing instrument. This with the help of synchronizing instrument we can check the parallel, that is a parallel conditions, parallel operation can be checked whether the voltages of both the generators are equal, frequencies are equal. So, here the meters are available. So, with the help of these meters, that is voltage, phase sequence, frequency, power factor, this indicator lamp, everything is there. So, with the help of these indications we can understand whether both the generators are running with the same frequency, same speed, same voltage and phase sequence, everything we can get information from these instruments. So, here these are the incoming generator which is connected to the bus bar with the help of the breakers. So, this bus bar voltage and this voltage has to be synchronized. So, then frequency also has to be synchronized. Then phase, power factor, everything will be shown by this indicators. With the help of synchronoscope indicators, we can understand whether all the voltages, everything, all the conditions are satisfied for parallel operation. If all the conditions are satisfied, then only the circuit breaker will be closed, then only this incoming generator will be connected in parallel. With the running generator, and also it will be connected to the bus bar. This is the bus bar. So, this is the incoming generator. After checking all the conditions, that is a frequency, voltage and phase sequence, after checking all the conditions only, the circuit breaker will be closed, then it will be connected to the bus bar and it will be running in parallel with the already available main alternator. So, both the alternators will be sharing the shift load. Apart from using a synchronoscope indicator, so some more methods also available to check the parallel operation and to check the parallel operation and also other conditions for the main necessary conditions for parallel operation. So, voltage, frequency and phase sequence. So, that is these are the three methods, dark lamp method, bright lamp method and sequence method. With the help of these lamps, so we can understand whether it is glowing, with the help of whether first lamp is glowing dark or other two lamps are glowing dark, bright. So, with the help of this dark and bright arrangement, we can understand whether the two alternator are working with the same voltage, same frequency and same phase sequence. And after checking with the help of these methods also, we can check the conditions for parallel operation. After checking the conditions, the two generators will be connected in parallel to the bus bar with the help of the circuit breaker. After that only this generators will be giving the supply to the bus bar, then from the bus bar shift loads will be connected. So far we discussed about power generation in shift board. The shift board, all the applications depend on the power, electrical power. This electrical power is mainly developed, generated by the alternators. So, the alternators, we discussed about the construction of alternator, types of alternator, and apart from usual alternator, we discussed about the brushless alternators also. Brushless alternators also playing vital role in the shipboard system. Then shipboard brushless alternator, then how to parallel the two alternators. So, the parallel operation plays vital role in ship application, because sometimes the single alternator cannot carry the full load, cannot supply for the full load. So that time the two alternators can be connected in parallel to the bus bar, it will be sharing the ship load. So some conditions also there to check the parallel operation. After checking the condition, the alternators will be connected in parallel to the bus bar, it will be giving supply, the supply will be connected to the bus bar, and from the bus bar ship loads will be connected. So altogether we can say the ship load, all the loads depending upon all the loads are depending on electrical supply. This electrical supply is generated by the alternators. So alternators play a vital role in ship application. Thank you.